Hey, welcome everybody. It is now May. Well, okay, technically not May, but it is time for the May announcements, and we've got a lot of stuff that I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for. So I'm really excited to get it started. Now, one thing I do want to let you guys know: this is a pre-recorded broadcast, so I won't be interacting with you today, but be sure to stay tuned for future Train Tuesdays and Athearn Extras, where we will be live and I will be able to interact with you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and see what we've got going on for the month of May. So right out of the gate, we're starting with the General Electric ES44 DC diesel locomotives. Now what we've got here, well, these have been highly requested by you guys. We're offering three different CSX paint schemes. The first one that you see there, 5226, well, this is a 2005 model. This is fresh out of their new repaint at the time. They got rid of their YN2 paint scheme and started painting their units this darker blue and kind of a gold, almost an homage to the old CNO. Now, they started doing this around 2005, and so the ES44 DCs, they were some of the first ones to get painted into this new paint scheme. Now, speaking of that new paint scheme, you'll notice that 5228 right below it, this is a special one that we've never offered before. This is a primer version. Was a slight backlog, so they pressed these locomotives right into service. They put a CSX patch on the nose and the road number and let them go out just like that in primer. So this is a unique locomotive that we wanted to offer you guys. And then last but not least, we're doing the highly requested CSX with the boxcar logo. This one here is 2015 onward. So there you have, a couple of examples of some CSX road numbers and paint schemes that will work for you anywhere between 2005, 2015, and onward. So our next one, and Norfolk Southern fans, I'm happy to say we've got something for you too. We've got the 2004 Plus paint scheme, as you can see there at the top of your page. But same thing, similar to CSX. We've got some primer-only units in Norfolk Southern. You can see they've stenciled the cab with the road number and the reporting marks there for Norfolk Southern, but that is it. It is pretty much just primer and pressed into service. These guys are indicative of a locomotive from 2006 on. So Norfolk Southern guys, if you're modeling the mid-2000s into the later 2000s, here's your locomotive. Of course, we had to do BNSF. Now, this one is really kind of cool. 2005 was an interesting year for the railroad, and a couple of reasons why. Going into 2005, they were still known as the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad. After throughout the year, I want to say around June or July, they officially became BNSF Railway, and with it, they came out with a new paint scheme. Now you'll see on the bottom, this is the ones that we were used to in the mid 2000s. This was the Heritage 2. That was real common to have that paint scheme applied to all the wide cab locomotives, while Spartan cab locomotives got the Heritage 1. You can see the difference in the logo, obviously. It's more of a sans serif logo. And the cigar band was still being used on the front nose. And if you look carefully on the back of the unit, you can still see the original Circle Cross logo that they used from about 1995 up to 2005. Well, BNSF not only changed their name, but they adopted a new paint scheme as seen here. Some guys call this the Premium Heritage. Some people call it the Heritage 3. Whatever side of the fence you're on, if you like the original paint scheme or if you like the newer swoosh paint scheme, we're offering these for you. We've got one road number with the swoosh paint scheme, and we're offering two in the original Heritage 2 paint scheme. Now this is going to be all new. This is totally new tooling. we are going to offer the GE ES44 AC variants, but these are the Canadian Pacific versions. And there's one that you're going to want to get your pre-orders in. It's 8781. This is the special locomotive that CP painted up for partners Hapag Lloyd. And this was recently painted. So we're going right out the gate with this guy, 8781. And then we're also offering 8787 in the traditional Canadian Pacific paint. Now, there have been some changes to further update the tooling on these so that they are Canadian Pacific specific locomotives. These will have, despite the pictures that we got here, these will have the full PTC antennas and the raised radiator screen, which is one of the two things that are really indicative to these two locomotives. So one of the things too that you want to remember is everything that you see that we're talking about today, you can pre-order from your dealer. You have till the end of May. It's going to be Friday the 27th to place all these pre-orders. So that's what we've got for the ES44s, both in the AC and the DC. So here's an announcement a lot of you guys are going to be excited about. A lot of you guys that got the Amtrak P42s a year ago, they sold out quickly, very quickly. So some of you guys kind of got left in the lurch there. So we're offering not only the P42s and Amtrak again, but we're also going to offer the P40s. Now, the P40s originally came out around 1992. Amtrak was using that at that time, the really cool fade paint scheme, as you see here. This was really the era where they were using strobe lights. They're still using the strobe lights on the locomotives, and the P40s that you see here, they're going to have that detail. Now, there's some tooling changes with this, so it's not just simply a warm over of the original tooling, but there is some really cool tooling that's been done to this, specifically with the cab-mounted strobe lights and the emergency lights. Now, those do function if you get the Tsunami 2 decoder with yours. These come both standard DC and DCC with Tsunami 2. As you can see there, we're offering these in the two paint schemes that you see here in 3 different road numbers. But we didn't stop there. We've got some other things for you, including this special Operation Lifesaver unit number 203. If you've been watching the web, the forums, the train magazines, you'll know there's a lot of buzz around this locomotive. In fact, I will be on Train World's live feed coming up on Tuesday, May 10th, and we'll be talking with Amtrak and Operation Lifesaver and talking about our locomotive, so be sure to check that out. But here we have Genesis level, for the first time ever, the Operation Lifesaver P42. And again, you can get this in DC or you can get it with the DCC and sound. And at the risk of sounding like one of those old cable commercials, but wait, there's more. There certainly is more. For you guys that have been waiting for VIA for over a year, we are more than happy to say we are offering VIA. We have the VIA P42 DCs, and we're doing different versions here. We're doing these special paint schemes. They started doing these around about 2017. VIA started applying these really cool paint schemes. The Love the Way. They would spell it on English on one side, they would spell it in French on the other side, and they would alternate. So we're offering those two variations here. We're also offering the Poppy scheme, which is a tribute to veterans. And in the Poppy paint scheme. So VIA modelers, your day is here. Now coming up next, we've also got the more traditional paint scheme, but nonetheless, this is a really eye-catching paint scheme. Around 2015, they started to repaint their fleet of P42s in this really cool It's kind of a teal green and yellow paint scheme, and they really show up nice. They're um, really colorful locomotives, and this is one of the ones that we've been getting requests for constantly. And so we're more than happy to release this in 3 different road numbers. And again, one thing that I want to point out is there's newly tooled details for this locomotive, mainly the tooled nose for VIA specific. They have a slightly different setup on their nose than the Amtrak models. We've also have the VIA added extra nose headlight, which is common with the VIA units and not something you would see with the Amtrak units. So if you missed out on the first Amtrak models a couple of years ago, you're going to want to get your pre-orders in before Friday, the 27th. And VIA fans, your time has finally come. We've been hearing a lot of feedback from you guys, and we're so happy to finally introduce these models for you. So we've got more big news in the world of locomotives. Guys that have your smaller layouts or just been looking for a switcher, your time has come as well. We're offering in the Athearn HO line, the SW1000. Now, this is an Athearn model, so it's not going to be road name specific details like a Genesis model, but they're still going to have a lot of details to them. And we're also offering a Prime for Grime version. Right here, we've got a BNSF model. We're offering 2 different road numbers, 3609 and 3617. And yeah, believe it or not, these are old leftovers from the CB&Q era. And they're offered in our Prime for Grime and the very faded Cascade green. And you can see the patchwork there on 3609. So if you're a BNSF modeler and you're modeling the late 90s, right up until about 2015 or so, you're going to want to pick one of these up. Rio Grande fans, for 1970s to the 1990s, we are offering the Rio Grande. They had well, let's see, they ordered 10 in 2 different groups. First one came in 66, but this paint scheme here is perfect for you guys that are in the 70s up until the 90s. We're offering 2 different road numbers here. And while I'm going between locomotives, we've updated the motor and drivetrain design on these. So they're going to be a stronger puller, much quieter system. And for the first time ever, we're offering these as DC, or you can get the DCC version with sound and tsunami sound and DCC. So that's pretty exciting. Here we go. We were talking about Burlington earlier. Here is the original Burlington. These are based on an order that they received in 66. Now, since the Q got these in 66, a lot of these probably stayed in their original paint well into the Burlington Northern era. So if you're modeling either the CB&Q or the Burlington Northern in the early 70s, you can definitely justify one of these with a decal set. You can change the numbering to reflect the BN numbering scheme. But these are great little switchers. And of course, CB&Q had these all over their network. We've also offered VIA. This is something that we thought would complement nicely with our P42s. We're offering 2 different road numbers for VIA, and these are their paint scheme that they used from 1987 on. And then last but not least, the S&S short line leasing. Just 1 road number. Neat little switcher. We wanted to offer it. We realize there's guys out there that have their little switching layouts or shelf layouts. They need something a little bit smaller than your standard Jeep or Elko four axle. So we're offering this in the S&S short line. It is an actual prototype, but also for you guys that are freelancing or doing something on your own, it would be real easy to re-letter this and make it your own for your own home road. So a couple other things, they're going to have the redesigned drivetrain, the stronger motor. They're going to have sound, and these are actually going to have ground lights, LED ground lights. Of course, all the lights on these are LED. Coming up next, Bethgon coal porters. You guys have been asking about these. This is part of the Athearn HO line. These are newly retooled bodies. They aren't just repaints of what we've done in the past. There's been some fine tuning of some of the details. We'll talk about it more in an upcoming episode of Train Tuesday. But for now, let's talk about what we're offering this month. Now, these are coming in 3 separate packs of 5. That's going to allow you to build a really good coal train, depending on what area you want. Now, most of these are centered into the 90s. However, we do have some for the 2000s. We've got the Burlington Northern here centered right into the 90s. And again, if you look, you'll see that we're offering them in 3 different packs of 5. So real easy to build up your fleet. We're offering BNSF, which would be the 2000s era. You can tell by the font that they're using on the coal porter there. 90s guys in the Northeast, we've got Conrail for you. We've also got CSX. Both of those are 1990s. Both are in 3 separate packs of 5. Now, since these are Athearn HO, they're gonna have some details to them. They're gonna have the grab irons and etched metal coupler platforms. They're really nicely detailed, and like I said, real easy to build up a fleet of these and build your coal train. We've also got 1990s Union Pacific. And for you guys that are wanting to do something a little bit different, or you want to add to your existing fleet, we're offering 1 pack of 5. These are data only, so they will allow you to put your own decals on, whether it be a home road or a road of your choosing. Coming up next in the Athearn HO line is the 60-foot bulkhead flat car. Now, these cars are perfect for any type of layout. You can always use one of these, whether it be an industry or a shelf layout, a switching layout, whatever you have, these are perfect for that. Now, what we're doing with this is we're offering these in 2 different singles, so you can get different road numbers. And we're also offering a multi-pack of 3. So you have the opportunity to have 5 distinct road numbers for each road that's represented here. For 1981 and beyond, we've got the Texas, Oklahoma, and Eastern. 1990s Montana Rail Link fans, we have been listening for you. We're offering these. 1990s Northwestern Oklahoma. Scrolling down a little bit, we've got Oregon Pacific and Eastern. That is good for 1981 and beyond, and these are also prime for grime. 1976 into the 80s, we've got the Southern Pacific. And last but not least, starting in 1969 and going throughout the 70s, we have the Spokane, Portland, and Seattle. Now, once again, these are being offered as 2 different singles and a multi-pack of 3. Also in the Athearn HO line, we're going to have a little fun. This is something that we will typically release every now and then. It's been a little bit since we released these, and we had some fun with them this time. This is great for the younger guys that are getting into model railroading, and it's also great if you go to shows and you display your layout or you display your modular setup. These are the types of things that crowds really like. Are they 100% prototypical? Not really, but our crowds that see these or friends that visit the layout, they're kind of fun to have. And they go back to a design that we've had since the 1960s. First up, we've got the Rio Grande. The freight car is based on a 1960s paint scheme, and we're offering it in 2 different roads. Up next is the Union Pacific. And if you'll notice too, one subtle detail is the airplanes slightly mimic their railroad colors of the flat car that they're on. Up next, we got the Baltimore and Ohio. And then we've got some military versions too. We've got the Department of Defense with an Air Force trainer. a Navy trainer, or a Marines trainer. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about these in upcoming Train Tuesdays, but these are all being offered as singles, and there's 2 different road numbers per railroad. And yes, of course, the airplanes do come off the flat cars, so you can have some extra play value with them. We figured it was time to do some cabooses again. We had a lot of great feedback using our product suggestion email. These are the Athearn HO bay window cabooses. And we've got a little bit of mix of railroads as far as eras too. So starting up first, these are all being offered as singles with 2 different road numbers per road. Coming up first for late 1970s era Union Pacific. Next is the Norfolk Southern for the 1980s. Also in the 1980s, we have the Chicago Northwestern. 1970s, a little bit earlier on this one, we've got Southern Pacific. So Southern Pacific fans, you'll be happy to have a bay window caboose now. Guys in the Midwest, we've got the Rock, the last paint scheme that the Rock would have applied to 2 different bay window cabooses. And we do get a lot of requests from our friends down south of the border. So we are offering 2 different road numbers for the NDM. And we figured we'd do the Suzy Q. Here's the Susquehanna, 2 different road numbers. This is 1980s era. Now these are Athearn, so they're going to have all the features that you expect. But the really nice thing about these, they've got the nice fine end rails and ladders. The grabs, all of that is separately applied. They're really nice cabooses. They work well for any type of layout or modular setup that you have. And a nice wide range here for you guys to choose from. Now, N scale guys, we didn't forget you. And N scale guys, you're going to want to pick these up, especially if you're modeling the 1990s into the 2000s. Same as the Athearn HO, these are the Athearn N scale. And once again, these have been newly retooled. So they're going to have better refinements from the last time that we offered them. We're offering them, just like the HO, we're offering them in 3 different packs of 5. So again, it's going to be real easy for you to build up a really nice coal train. If you guys that model N scale and are a part of N-Track or Fremo N, these are perfect for your modules. So we've got the Burlington Northern again, 1990s, early era BNSF, 2000s, 1990s, both Conrail and CSX. And we've also got the Union Pacific 1990s, and we're also offering data only in 1 pack of 5. So for you guys that want to do your own freelance or something else, we've got these data only ones. And again, this is going to be really easy for you N-scale guys to make some really convincing coal drags. Now, the differences between the N-scale, besides just the scale, of course, is we've got some nice added features with the N-scale cars that a lot of you guys have come to expect. First of all, they're up to NMRA specs as far as the weight. Their couplers are body mounted, and the wheel sets are metal. Now, I can tell you from experience, these wheel sets will work on all types of N-scale track, whether it be your code 80 sectional track or the becoming more common actually in N-scale, the code 55, even code 40. There is a manufacturer that offers code 40. So for your ultra scale guys, they will roll very nicely on code 40. So again, we're offering these for pre-order. Until the end of the month. These are all going to be available for pre-order until Friday, May 27th. So that's when you want to get your pre-orders in. Now, you're watching this at about 3:30 Central Time right now. you still got a little bit of time to grab the pre-orders from April. And remember, we had a lot of great stuff that we talked about the last month on April. You got a little bit of time to pre-order those, but you've also got time from here on out to May 27th to pre-order anything that we've talked about. And once again, we will be doing live feeds on Train Tuesday on these items, and we'll talk a little bit more about them in detail. And we'll also have another Athearn Extra where we will have a couple of guests with me, and we'll talk about these even more in detail and allow you to ask questions, and we'll answer them at the time that we see them. So I hope you guys are as excited about the new items that we have for May as I am. So go ahead, give your dealer a call. And while you're at it, don't forget we are on Facebook, Instagram, and now TikTok. We're adding videos weekly to TikTok. And if you've missed this live and you want to see it later, you can go to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell for any videos that drop in there, usually on a weekly basis, and then you will be up to date. So with that, it's Friday, it's the weekend. Stop by the hobby shop on the way home, get what you need for the weekend, do some good modeling, and above all, high greens, everybody. Take care.